Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Probably Fixed It. And in this episode, we got a little Troy-Bilt TB110. It's got the little Briggs Stratton motor in it. Took this one in on trade for a mower I just got rid of. So we're going to go through the process of kind of giving it a once over and see if we can get this thing up and running and back out for this weekend to somebody else to cut the lawn with pretty cheaply. Go ahead and check this oil real quick. It has oil, but we'll get an oil change. It has fuel. Check this air filter out. So once you see an air filter like this, you can pretty much guess this thing's been neglected. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this filter to the side. That will get changed. And I'll probably end up changing the spark plug as well. Let's see if we can get this thing to kick off real quick. I highly doubt it will kick off with the way it is, but we're gonna go ahead and give her a couple of pulls and see if we get lucky, because we have in the past. Alrighty, no luck on this one here. I got a little bit of, that's some two-stroke gas I have. I'm gonna go ahead and shoot this down there, down the gullet here. See if it'll fire up for me. If not, I'll get some carb cleaner in there and see if she'll fire off. All right, she wants to kick off. Okay, we have a runner. So the guy that I picked this mower up from, it's kind of funny. I sold him a mower, and he called me the next morning and says, this mower's not, that I sold him wasn't running right, and he thinks the blade is bent. Well, I knew I'd put a new blade on it. So I said, well, let me go over there and take a look, because I don't want to ruin my reputation, if I even have one. But anyhow, I go over there, and that blade, he denied hitting anything at first. This is the blade. Can you see that thing? That was a brand new blade I put on that mower. But not a big deal. He was still a pretty cool guy. Once I kind of said, hey, it looks like you got all your grass cut except for over there by that stump. He goes, well, yeah, that's when it started acting up, I bet. So anyway, this mower may have hit that stump as well at some point, but we don't know. We'll check that blade out. This blade actually looks pretty good. It didn't seem to vibrate too much. It does have some garbage on the spindle. Blade actually looks really good. And kind of spun, didn't look bent, so that's good. First thing we'll do is that carburetor is going to need to be replaced, or not replaced, but repaired. And I have a hack for these plastic carburetors, and I'm gonna do it again. So to show you that these plastic carburetors aren't nearly as bad as rap as they get. They will clog up pretty easy with that regular fuel if you don't use that non-ethanol fuel. But like I said in the past, I got a video where I did this with one of the plastic carburetors on one of the Murrays. I just put these little cartridge replacements in, and I'll leave a link to this in the description. And we'll see how that works for this one too. And we'll do our normal servicing and see how she goes. But I'm gonna put this in and put that carburetor back in, and I'll show you step by step how I install this, just in case you didn't see that other video. And this is your first time seeing me. And also, if you like these kind of videos, I do whatever comes up with these mowers as I get them is what you're gonna kind of see. So just like and subscribe, and you know, I appreciate it. All the people, subscribers I have so far. We're gonna go ahead and get this taken off. There's usually 4 fasteners that hold this in, 2 that hold the plastic piece on, and 2 that hold the carburetor on. So 4 in total on this little assembly here. So we'll get in there. I'm gonna get my little lift table up so I don't have to squat down so much. Make my life a little easier. Okay, I really need to getting my lift table adapted for how I like to use it. Priority, and I'll do a video on that too when I update this to make it a little bit more functional for use. But let me show you this lawnmower. It looks like it's going to need a little bit of stuff here. Like, it looks like a dog got a hold of that one there, that there. I'll see if I have any of those and also right there. So I'll see if I have any replacements for those so we can get this thing going. And then it's got some white overspray paint all over it, and we'll get that all tidied up as well. So without further ado, let's get into that carburetor and take it from there. Let's go ahead and get this stuff removed here. This is going to be I think it's 7mm. So that's my little filter housing, which just is dirty. It just needs cleaning. That'll be all right. Okay, there's your carburetor there. What I like to do is take some vice grips, pinch that hose. That hose is kind of, it's pretty hard. That's gonna need a little bit more pinching than that. Just to kind of keep my fuel from flowing. I'll probably end up changing that fuel hose out. Now we're gonna get in there with just some pliers real quick to take this off, take that hose clamp off right there. Pretty sure I mentioned this before, but I like to use, to get those things off, I like to get something that has a little bit bigger teeth so I can get more purchase on that, with those clamps. Let me get this out of my way for right now. There we go, I just slide that over. That was a lot easier. And I'll put this clamp on. I'm still gonna clamp it behind that hose there. You don't need these, but I like them. I get these from Harbor Freight. They're basically for actually just pulling those hoses off. It makes it real easy or nicer. Sometimes you still gotta fight them, but for the most part, it just comes right off. Like, look at that. Just right off, easy peasy. Now we're gonna pull this carburetor right off the base there. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take this top cover off so y'all can see how I'll get in a second here. How you can see how all the linkages are hooked up. You'll see it better from the top. So let me get this thing taken off here. This plastic cover is only, I already took one out, but it's only held on by 3 5/16 fasteners. Now we can just get that right on out of the way. While that's off, I'll probably take advantage of cleaning all this up too. I'll save you all that detail. This right, can y'all see that? Yeah. This is your, basically your crankcase ventilation. So this goes into the back of this, back of the air cleaner right here. Whenever you're putting that back on, it'll go like that. So that'll fit on there. And then this right here is, let's see, can you see that? Yeah. This right here is your actual, what operates your choke. It heats up from the muffler, and it moves this thing, and this is what drives your choke. And this one right here is the one that's basically your throttle. So we'll go ahead and get this off. You just pull that carburetor off there. It's all it is on a, let me get my hand out of the way. It's just on that little tube right there. That's your intake manifold. And then you just spin your carburetor a little bit there to get this one off. And then now you can rotate this one here and get that off. So now your carburetor is totally free. And it's kind of dirty, but I'll clean it up with a little carb cleaner on the outside. But you'll be surprised at how well this thing will work. And I'll show you what we're going to do. I'm just going to clean the outside up, and then I'll take this apart and I'll show you the inside of this carburetor. All I'm going to do is just brush this off, rinse it off real quick. All right, believe it or not, this is the same carburetor. I just hit it with sprayed it with some Awesome, agitated it a little bit, and rinse it off with the regular old garden hose. That's just water dripping out of it right now. So I haven't done nothing to the inside of this thing. I'm gonna get on here so I can kind of watch from behind the camera so I can see what y'all see. I'm just gonna go ahead and remove these two pieces here. Well, let me get the right size. All right, I think these should come off now. It's a 7mm. Try not to lose that. There's two screws are off. Put those to the side. Now we got to get this part off here. This is your float bowl. And also pay attention, see where this little thing is? It's got to be on the same side as your fuel inlet, just kind of so you have a point of reference when you get that thing on, right? Now just get a little screwdriver or something, and usually you gotta pry that apart real quick. Let me go grab a screwdriver real quick so I can get in there. All right, sometimes you can get lucky and just, well, I got lucky and it came apart. That is fuel. And can you see in there, that stuff inside there's water in there. This actually looks pretty clean, to be honest with you. Look at, see how white that is? Sometimes they're all yellow and nasty. Let me go dump this water, let me just set it on the ground for right now. I'll go dump it out in a second. I wanted to bring you up a little bit higher so I didn't have to squat down so much to show you. Now, I haven't tested this yet, but we're gonna see how if this float's working. So I've explained this in the past, but I'm explaining it again for any new viewers we may have. The way the carburetor works is fuel goes in here through this port right here from the tank. So this actually sits like this right here on that carburetor. I don't know if you can see it. Fuel just from gravity comes down here and here. And that float is gonna sit just like that for the most part. It's gonna fill this little bowl up with fuel. As fuel gets in that bowl, it's gonna push that float up, and that's gonna shut off the supply of fuel. So what happens is sometimes whenever when things get clogged up, your needle and seat, your needle won't close and that won't work. So we'll see if it works right now. You hear that air? We got good flow through there. And it shuts off great. So your needle and seat are pretty good on this one. More than likely what the problem is on this particular one is this cartridge. We're gonna go ahead and pull that cartridge out right now. And I buy these replacement cartridges by the pack, and like I said, I'll leave a link to those. And even if I've even had brand new Amazon carburetors, these plastic ones, and they won't run right. They'll surge and hunt, and usually the jet's not right. And I'll replace a brand new cartridge with one of these cartridges here that I get, and it seems to take that out without a problem. This package there, I think it's a package of like 4 or 6 or so. It's like 12 bucks. So you're sitting at just a couple of bucks per cartridge. So this just comes right out. Oh yeah, if you look at this right here, you can look at that, see that, all that yellow? You see all that discoloration right there? This thing has got some garbage in it. So probably had some water in it, and the little metal parts inside there have probably corroded. So just so you know, this cartridge isn't just this piece here. It's actually a two pieces. And I'll show you the other part of this. So if you do decide to clean one of these, you really need to take, because you can clean these. They're not necessarily disposable, but you want to take, it's tight. And it's probably because it's a little bit gunked up in there. Hold on a second, let me get a better angle. Trying to do that on camera right there is not helping me out. Get a better bite on this thing. All right. All right, there we go. Yeah, this one here is definitely gonna be clogged up, but as you can see, it's 2 parts. And this is that would go right back on there, but you can see how we got that debris there. You got little metal pieces in there. So what I do is I just actually save myself the headache. Don't even worry about cleaning these. But if you're in a bind, you can clean these out if you want to, and maybe get lucky. But let's just put one of these in instead. And these only go in one way. See, if you try to go the wrong way, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So it only goes in one direction. See how easy that slid in? Look, just drops right in. Now it's not all the way seated, but if you try to go the wrong way, it doesn't drop in. All right, so we're gonna put that in the right way, and then you gotta press it down. If you hear it snap, that's the way you know you got it in there real good, and you give it a little pull test, and now you know you're good to go. I'm not gonna take this needle and seat out because the float and the needle and seat, because it seals up just fine. Well, I'll show you again. You blow, this is fuel, my air is like fuel. The float fills up, our bowl fills up, floats up like it's supposed to, like a float does. Fuel gets shut off. So if you ever see a bunch of fuel dripping out of your carburetor, more than likely your needle and seat is messed up, and it's just flooding the carb. So now we're going to put this all back together, right? You remember how that was? This was this component here was facing that hose right there. So we're just going to line the holes back up with that closest to there as we can. Squeeze that in there real good and put this together. Now I do with these, I like to put these fasteners back in. I like to do these kind of by hand for a little. I like to start them by hand for sure, but you got to be careful because you can ruin a carburetor by over tightening these and stripping them out. So what I'm about to do at your own risk. I'm gonna use my little tool because I like using it and I'm lazy. But I go in kind of slow, get that one going, get the other one in there. Just a little click, that's all you need. That's it. There you go. Look, not a bunch of woogadoogas, just a couple woogadoogas. Make sure this white piece is back on. Behind that white piece is an O-ring, and you need to have that on so that'll seal. So I think what we're gonna do right now, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go ahead and drain the fuel out of this so I don't introduce nasty fuel in. So let me go get a little container to catch this fuel. I'll put some fresh fuel in there and we'll give this thing a quick fire, and you'll see how easy this job can be done. You can do this in a few minutes at your house. If your mower's not running right and you got one of these plastic carburetors, get on Amazon, order you this little packet here. You can buy onesies, twosies. I'd buy a couple. That way next year, if you forget to drain your fuel out, run your fuel out of your carburetor and it's giving you troubles again, you just change it out. So let me go ahead and drain this old fuel out of here, and I'll put some non-ethanol fuel in here because I like to run that in these machines, and we'll go from there. I went to my son's room. He always has empty water bottles. He goes through water like crazy. So I'm just going to drain this. I'm just going to drain this fuel out. Nothing exciting here to see here. Just fuel doesn't look bad actually. It may have some water in it. I'll look at it. I'm good to turn this off. You don't need to see me drain fuel. It's not too exciting. I actually took this jar I had and drained the rest of the fuel out, or I still got a little bit in there, but if you can see, oh, you can't see nothing. Let me start over. So I drained it into this mason jar, and if you look in this jar, can you see that line right there? That's water on the bottom. So that water is what gets into your carburetor and why it won't start, because you know, motors don't run on water, they run on gasoline. So this new fuel has ethanol in it now, and what happens is that ethanol will pull the moisture out from the environment, and it'll collect inside your fuel tank, especially in these plastic tanks where you get a little bit of extra humidity. And if I'm wrong, I don't think I am, but if I am, or someone has a more scientific explanation, please leave it in the comments. But this is part of the problem right there, is the fuels that we use today. I'm just going to go ahead and put that aside, and I might use it for show and tell for a future video as well, just so people have an idea of what we're dealing with. I got all the fuel drained out of it. I'm gonna go ahead and replace the fuel line. This is totally optional. You don't have to, but I do resell these mowers just so I can buy, because sometimes I buy some so I have some to work on. So just to kind of feed my habit, I'm gonna go ahead and I sell them. So since I do sell them, I like to, this is a little bit crunchy and it could have some, that non-ethanol fuel sometimes will also eat the inside out of these cheaper hoses. The hose I have is Gates hose, which is, you know, known to be good, and it's good for modern fuels. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take the old hose off and then replace it. And I used my little fancy pliers there. I take that off so I can get a pretty good measurement of the size I want, because if you get it too big, it'll push that carburetor a little bit, and it kind of makes it a little bit, sometimes can make it a little more difficult to install. But I'm just gonna go ahead and cut that off here. It's about the same size. Now, let's see if I can get this on there. This might have a different ID. That's inside diameter of the hose. Nah, it'll work. But give it 1 second. Now what I want to do is I'm gonna go ahead and, this is also optional. I clean these up too pretty good before I resell them. So since I have this easy enough to get this fuel tank off, I'm just gonna clean up, you know, inside and outside of it. And then I may actually clean this up here, pull this mower and clean this side up a little bit. Usually I do a full detail after I'm done, but since I have this apart right here, I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. I'm not gonna bore you with that, but you will see how it looks when it's done. All right. That's why I could never do this for a living. I'd never make any money because I gotta clean everything up. It takes them too long to do anything. But if this is your mower, there's a lot of stuff you don't really have to do. I turn around and I sell these, like I said, just to make room for more. But so hopefully my day job stays in there for a little while, or this YouTube picks up, because I'll never make a living fixing lawnmowers. I'm just too slow. So I put a little plastic in here whenever I rinse this down. I sprayed this thing down with Awesome, got all the crud off of it. And then I hit it with a little bit of Vice Grip Garage's Rebuild Black. So, I mean, that means that motor is basically brand new. It's basically rebuilt because I use that, you know, Craigslist rebuild in a can there. So that's good. Now, there's my fuel tank. I don't know if you remember how it looked before, but it looks a lot better now. We'll just go ahead. It's got two little slots here that slide right in here. We'll go ahead and slide this in place. Which honestly, I'm gonna leave this off for right now so I can show you the install of the carburetor with a little bit better clarity. So let me see if I can get this in here for you guys. Pull up a little plug I use while I rinse this thing off. All right, remember what I said about this carburetor. That white piece has to be on there. Behind there is an O-ring. That is what seats to the intake manifold, which is just that little circular piece right here. Oh no. This little piece here is your, when this gets hot, it operates the choke for you, opens the choke up. And this right here, this one acts as your throttle. So this is your throttle. It's gonna go to this back one, because that's your throttle butterfly back here, right there. This is your choke, and this is your choke. This is your choke butterfly right here. So it's gonna, the choke's gonna go here. And also you'll notice that this bar is a lot thinner. So let me see if I can get this in there. So it just slides right in there pretty easy. And sometimes it's easier to do one before the other, but, and I think I actually did that backwards. Let me take that off. Slide this one on here. So that's gonna go, that little thicker one's gonna go in this hole right here. And you just tilt it and spin it in there. And then now I'm gonna do it again with the choke, because I can get that in there a little easier. And then I can just twist that carburetor down. And then now we're just ready to slide it in place. Just sliding that back over, and there you go. That carburetor is, for all practical purposes, installed. Now, one thing I do like to do, like I said before, I changed this fuel line out with some fresh line, because that other stuff was a little bit corroded. I like to use zip ties for my to secure my fuel line. That's what was always on these outboard motors, I noticed, whenever they do maintenance on them. So I just kind of stuck with that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put that on there. Now I'm gonna put this hose on here on the carburetor. Hoping y'all can see that. Anyway, I got that hose right there on there. And now I'm gonna secure that hose with zip tie. And if you take side cutters, whatever you wanna call them, and you just twist it a little bit, it gets that thing nice and tight. There we go. Now we'll throw this fuel tank back on there. And now we can start putting everything back together. I cleaned everything up, but you know what I didn't clean up? I didn't clean up this piece here or the other part. So I'm gonna go take those and clean those. I had just had them sitting to the side when I went and cleaned that mower up a little bit. So I'm gonna go clean these up real quick and we'll get these installed. I got that all cleaned up. Remember, this hose here that hose has to go in here. Otherwise you can sometimes get yourself a little oily mess. There you go, got it on there. I'm gonna take it back off so I can show you something else. There's 2 pins, there's these little locating pins, and they're gonna go in these holes right here. So it kind of helps you, look, it just goes like that. So it helps you kind of get everything lined up. And that little vent from the tank, the fuel tank, also goes inside there, like so. I got my little screws here. The machine ones here are the ones for that hold the case on, and they go right here. One goes there, started by hand. My hands are a little too big to get in there, so cheating a little bit by using that. I'm just putting that tool, but I'm still turning it by hand. I'll do the same thing over here. Get that thing started. So I'm gonna get that one started, and those are the 5/16. And then for the carburetor, the ones that go in the box here for the carburetor, if you look, those are not machine screws. One goes here, and once again, my hands are kind of big. Good thing I'm not a dentist. You imagine these mitts getting in your mouth. So I just get those started by hand with my little tool here. I like to snug the plastic part, the one down first to the case before I do the carburetor. Gonna change my bit out to the 7mm for the carb. Those are those 2 silver ones. And I'm not gonna crank down real hard because we're just going into plastic. Just a little bit, don't need a lot. Yeah, that's good enough. All right, so now we'll just put a new air filter. I got a whole case of these air filters. Put that new filter on. Remember what that old one looked like? Like that, pretty nasty. Put that on there. Put my cover back on, so we're good there. Next thing we're gonna do, I kinda wanna just put fuel in it and fire it up to show you how that worked. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put the cover back on real quick. I'm not gonna do the spark plug yet or change the oil yet. I'll put some fresh fuel in it, and then we'll make sure that carburetor was working like it should, and it should. I just kind of want to show you the bare minimum that you could probably get away with if you're just trying to service your mower real quick get it back going for the season. But it's always good to change your oil every season and your plug. But you know, if you're just trying to do something real quick and you don't have all that stuff handy. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and drop this on here. Sometimes putting these when you're putting these covers back on, if they don't go right, I mean, they're not hard. Okay, we'll just stay that like it just fell on. But if it doesn't go on, you can kind of pull this a little bit and it'll fall into that little groove sometimes for you if you're struggling a little bit. Go ahead and put these bolts back in here. And this basically, when we're said and done, we're going to basically complete a full service. I like to call it my season service. I like to do this. I think it's good practice to do it every season if you can, or at least, I mean, not rebuild the carburetor, but the rest from this point on. Air filter, you should probably change every season. Spark plug, you know, depending on how much you use it, change it every so often. And then sometimes you can just take those air filters and just, if you have an air compressor, if they're not too bad, like that other one was pretty bad, but if they're not too bad, you can just spray them out and reuse them again. But I do like to change my oil. Even on those mowers that say oil change is not necessary, just add oil as needed, just go ahead and change your oil. I like to use some synthetic 10W30. That's just kind of what I choose to use. I get kind of whatever's on sale, 10W30, 10W40. Try to get synthetic if I can. That's what I go. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put a little bit of fuel in this thing, some non-ethanol fuel. I'm gonna pull it back off this cart and then give it a tug and see if she fires up. And then once she fires up, we're gonna go ahead and change this plug out and change the oil. I just want to demonstrate to you that that carburetor hack, this little hack, changing this thing out right here, is a lot of times all you got to do to rebuild a carburetor. We didn't do nothing to that carburetor really, but just to the inside other than change this cartridge out. Get a little bit of fuel in here. Not much, just a splasher. Go ahead and give this a tug. And now, this will be the first pull since we put everything back together. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Fired right up, first pull, that carburetor is good. All right, so now we'll go through the rest of our normal service and put it back up on my little table there so I'm not bending over so much. All right, let's get that spark plug removed. The first thing we're gonna do is pull that cable. That was nice and loose. Pull that cable off. Sometimes those get stuck on there. And what I use sometimes is some dielectric grease in there just so I don't have to fight it in the future. All right, so this is a 5/8, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 5/8. Go ahead and pull that out. We'll take a look at this spark plug. If it's good, we'll reuse it, but I should have some. I stock, you know, a lot of stuff, air filters, spark plugs for a lot of common stuff that I get, so I don't have to order all the time. When I say I stock about 5. I don't have like tons. I think I have 10 of a certain one just because I got a deal on them. All right, so here's that plug. It definitely has seen better days. It's old Champion, so they're good plugs. Let me go find a plug real quick. I got me a replacement plug. I like to put little anti-seize on there. Just to save me some headaches in the future, or whoever's next some headaches. Get that installed. Be careful not to strip one of these. I actually had to put a helicoil in a blower motor. All right, well, I'm gonna get this started. Me reaching over this camera is putting me in an awkward position. Had to get me a little bit better angle so I could get that thing started. After putting that helicoil in that other one, definitely don't want to do that. But anyway, just make sure you get that thing started by hand and you don't cross the threads because it's kind of a pain in the rear end to change them out. I got a video if you want to go to look for it. Maybe I'll link it in the description. And you don't have to go crazy tight with these things either. This stuff here is what I was saying that I use. I'll put a little bit in. You don't have to, but I put a little bit right here in the boot. And it makes my life a little easier. I use it on cars too. Like sometimes those spark plugs can be a pain in the butt to get the boot off, but you do that and they'll come off nice and easy for you next time. All right, there you go. Spark plug is done. Next thing we're gonna do is get that oil changed. What I'm probably gonna do, I'm gonna go pull this thing out and let it run for a couple of minute or two. I got this little pre-measured cup here. I got 15 ounces of oil because that's what these 140cc Briggs Stratton engines call for. So we'll go ahead and get that going in there. Once I put that 15 ounces of oil in there, I kind of let gravity do its thing and work it down that channel. And then I try to get my oil, I like it to be in between those two dots if possible. You can go a little above it, but not too much because you don't want to overfill it either. Take another look at that. I didn't see it real well. That looks perfect to me. You see that? I got it in there for you guys. Well, it's getting dark out here, but anyway, I usually do these after work, and then tomorrow my son's got to get his baclofen pump replaced, so we'll be off to Texas Children's Hospital bright and early in the morning. So just want to get this squared away for the evening. I'll go do a quick test mow and I'll come back and let you know how that test mow went, because sometimes there's surprises. I've had these mowers just not work after when I did a test mow and had to do a little bit more troubleshooting. But we'll see. Let me go do a quick test mow in the backyard and then I'll come right back out. All right, guys, we got this one all buttoned up, and now that test mow was over a week ago. We ended up at Texas Children's for over a week with Travis, so it took a little bit longer than expected, but I did do the test mow, and one thing I did notice during that test mow, it seemed to cut all right, but the grass wasn't cutting real good. I noticed that this mower had a fresh blade on it at the very beginning, and it was nice and sharp, but what kind of I started thinking about while I was out there was the blade on this thing was put on upside down. And one way you can check that is find your sharp edge of the blade, which is right here. I mean, there's a couple ways, but this is, I mean, just kind of quick, and you just push your thing down, and if you pull this pull the string, and disconnect your spark plug, of course, when you do this. If you pull this, you can see the rotation that the engine spins, and you know, the blade, the sharp part should be spinning around to cut the stuff. Also, this little lip right here on the top, it should always point up. So no matter how that blade is shaped, if it's cupped or not, make sure your mulching tips are pointing up to keep that going in there. But anyway, I do appreciate you guys watching and subscribing, and that's going to do it for this episode of Probably Fixed It. Let's see if this thing will fire up on one pole. All right, she's ready to go to the next owner, and time for us to start working on a two-stroke so we can get a two-stroke Tuesday in. We missed it last week, but that was due to unforeseen circumstances, so we'll get back on it.